best entertainment on the earth. Tune in for Comics with Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. People ask me from time to time, what's my biggest disappointment in comics? And I realize that a lot of these videos lead with the negative. So what's something you love about comics? So I love the storytelling, and I love the possibility, and the fact that even if you get a bad creative team on a comic, that it could be turned around in a matter of months by just a good creative team coming on. And that kind of possibility of anything is very exciting to me. But people are negative by nature, and so the question I get a lot is, what's the biggest disappointment in comics? And I know there's lots of answers out there, and on any given day I might give a different answer. But today's today, and I'm going to give today's answer. And today's answer is a answer I think about a lot. And hopefully this means something to you. This actually means a lot to me. This is a bigger deal to me. So I do lots of videos. I do lots of answers of questions and all the rest. And some things are simple. Some things are more personal. This one hits deeper to home. And so I'll lay that out there. And if you've been listening to this channel for any length of time, then, I don't make up stuff that matters to me. I'm not a fake person. So this one actually matters to me. The thing that disappoints me the most is, honestly, it's the lack of camaraderie within comics. And the reason why that bugs me is because one of the things that is often said in comics, and one of the things that, people talk about, is how it's a brotherhood, sisterhood. We all look out for each other. If you're part of the comics group, you're part of the community, then we care about you and we look out for you, and we, everybody kind of helps each other out and everything else. That's the narrative that you see. And every time I see that, it's so blatantly false that it bugs me. The reality is that comics is, by and large, a pretty backstabbing kind of industry. A lot of the people who are in it, creatives, editorial, full staff jobs, even people in different groups. I mentioned before, I have many friends in the legal and marketing and licensing groups and other places. So a lot of the auxiliary people who are not so tied up in their own creative kind of endeavors that they're willing to listen to a guy like me. And also, quite bluntly, when I'd go to Comic-Cons or I'd go to places back when they used to send more staff to the conventions, everybody goes and hangs out with the cool kids. And I'm like, hey, and I'm going to go, I just want to have a good time. So I'm going to go buy drinks for some of the people who, aren't as popular, aren't the people who are immediately going to get swarmed, and, we'll have a good night. And those people tend to be more fun anyway. And, it works. And it was true. I made a lot of good friends in those departments, some still in comics, some long gone. But very quickly, if you talk to anyone and any level of honesty comes out, meaning you pierce the, hey, everything is great about comics, which I get why a lot of people lead with that, then you quickly get to, here's all the people, like everybody's screwing everybody. And one of the sadder things is when you talk to a creator, and an artist, a writer, somebody like that, and they're like, no, I have a pretty good time. I mean, I'm pretty non-political, and I just try and get shit done, and that's what I do. And there's a number of people, I've done interviews on this channel with several of those people, and I always love them to death because these are the true creatives. The people who are just out to make art and do their thing. And the sad part, though, is that, they either realize and they don't want to admit, or they don't realize that, several of their peers are out to fuck them over on any given occasion. And it is ridiculous. I will tell you, hands down, the DM traffic, the text message traffic, the, private message is stuff that goes on is absurd. Now, keep in mind, I've worked in tech, I've worked in biotech, I've worked in medtech, I've worked in finance, I've worked in a bunch of different places where I did consulting work. And part of the job of a consultant, in some cases, is to get to know the secrets. You traffic in information and gossip. And I will tell you, nowhere in any other industry have I ever seen so much shit talking and backstabbing and, three-dimensional chess level of politics as comics. It is everywhere. you get, like, hey, this, you're somebody who wants to tell some shit about Kelly Thompson. And by the way, some of you are like in the middle, like, you mentioned something about Kelly Thompson. Well, you won't spill the tea. You won't tell what's going on. Well, I mean, look, what's going on is that Kelly Thompson, rumor wise, regularly finds out when a creator is working on a book and goes in and tries to sabotage in order to get the book for herself, or sometimes just to screw somebody else. This is a story that's repeated by an infinite number of creators who have had books promised to them, gone and pitched an editor, done other things, and Thompson's come in and said, you basically just, know this person is friends with this person, they're a bad person. Like, here's how my pitch is better than that pitch. Like, I just manipulated the editors. That's the tea that's spilled. That's what's gone on. It's happened to a lot of people. Who's complained about this? Lots of people. It is, there's a million stories like that in comics. And when you look at that, what's true? Well, I mean, certainly you can go after Kelly, but you also, and by the way, any of you who've worked in a professional office know this, if somebody craps all over somebody else, like, let me tell you the true inside dirt on this creator who's a true asshole, you can kind of be deceived by oh my God, that person does sound like an asshole. Yeah, that sounds terrible. But if you think about it long enough, you're like, wait a minute, why are you telling me this? Why are you spreading this gossip? Why are you telling this story? And very quickly you come to realize, like, you're not a good person either. I understand maybe there's some bad behavior, maybe true, maybe not be true. I mean, like, by the way, who knows? Did Kelly Thompson do all these things? I don't know. Maybe everybody just all is telling the same lie about Kelly. I don't know. But on some level, you also have to question, why are all these people gossiping about this? Why are you bringing this up? What do you have to gain? Because it's all a shitty little game that goes on here. That's the problem. And so if you ask me, what's the thing that disappoints me the most about comics? It's this. It is an incestuously, bad faith group of people by and large. I understand there's some good people out there, and God bless them. The people out there who just want to create good art, good general people, try to get shit done, all the rest. I think, I was going to say, I don't want to call out names, but there's plenty of people. I think, to my core, and by the way, me complimenting the person hopefully doesn't put them on some kind of bad list, but, old Jim Zub, fuck, that's a nice guy. That's a guy who just nice guy. I have talked to, long before I ever said a word to Zub, before he and I ever exchanged a single sentence, I would say dozens, if not tens of dozens. I mean, like, lots and lots of people, literally dozens of people, talk about what an amazing stand-up guy this person is. Philip Kennedy Johnson, another one. Nobody says a bad word about that guy. Nobody. Ben Templeston, another one. Really nice guy. People said everything else. Everybody's now going to play the game of omission, the people I don't say, but not to go down all these names, but like, these are just good people that consistently in the industry, an industry that typically shits on everyone. And this is a crazy part, is when you talk to people, there's I rarely have a conversation go by where somebody isn't an asshole. Like, in the conversation, they don't say, it's a perfectly nice conversation. Like, yeah, by the way, that David Gabriel's a prick. Like, I swear to God, every conversation I have, somebody is an asshole. I will tell you, and I don't, this is probably not keeping secrets like I should. I've had, we've done interviews, I had conversations with Zuff. Zero times. And I know for a fact, if you're in comics for any length of time, somebody has fucked you over somewhere. Guaranteed. At 0 point in private conversation in any of that has I've ever said, yeah, fuck this guy. Never a bad word. And I respect the hell out of that. Absolutely. certainly to somebody like me, but I mean, keep in mind, you're listening to the dumb YouTube channel, and depending on the various YouTube channels, what you think of all these things, and if you're following the person's logic from a couple, days ago, weeks ago, that said, if you ever say anything bad, you're one of the bad people. I, you know, it is, so you could take my stuff for a grain of salt, but as a retailer showing up to Comics Pro and everything else, I'll tell you, I can count probably on, both hands the amount of people who have just never said a bad word about anybody ever. And maybe it's just me. And if it's me, good, that's an intelligence test. They shouldn't say things to me. The norm should be not saying things to me. But yeah, I lots, and by the way, I don't judge people. I'm not, if you say something bad about somebody else, it's not an immediate like, ooh, I'm sitting here silently judging you. It's just that it gets tiring especially when you have somebody who you go on Facebook or you go on Twitter and you see this person fawning all over somebody else. It's like, oh, oh, you're so great. Hey, Maddie Rosenberg, you're a great writer. I love you. Everything else. And then I get the DM like, that fucker can't write anything. Why do you do that? Like, why do you, bend over and go full fellatio on the guy in public? And then behind the scenes, you're like, oh, I hope that guy never gets any work again. And there's been that. Like, did you see that Matt Rosenberg's got some work at DC? He's got a regular title. He's doing Wildcats. How did that asshole get that? Fuck that guy. He is an awful writer. You hear that stuff from somebody. And then again, you go on Facebook and you're like, oh, good for you, Maddie. I'm so proud of you. Good for you. Yeah. I don't know. That's the part that disappoints me the most about comics. It's the duplicitous nature of it all. And I understand it's a very childish thing I'm about to say, and I get it. I get it. It's totally childish. But aren't these supposed to be books about heroes? People who have heroic actions, people who are brave, people who stand up, do the right thing? I can't get quite over that. And by the way, this is you see this, from people who leave comics. You see this people who are on the independents. There's some people who have an entire cottage industry on drama. One of the absolute biggest negatives to a lot of the crowdfunded kind of stuff is a lot of the creators who go over there do so shitting on everyone else. That's part of the selling proposition. It's like, hey, buy my comics. P.S. Here's why everybody at Marvel and DC suck ass. I don't know. Your creators, sell the comic. Just sell the comic. I get it. I totally get why you do it. It's fine. You make money and that's what people are into. But Jesus Christ, are you a creator or not? Sell your comic. Make your comic amazing. Maybe, I get that you're getting sales off of, spilling the tea on various people, but fuck, just sell your comic. If your comic character is worth a damn, then you don't need to shit all over has-beens like Vita Ayala or others to get it done. I listened, I caught up on a bunch of videos. And I've been making the comment like, Vita's not doing any work. Why is everybody shitting on Vita at this point? And people are like, no, here's why. Because it's the spirit of Vita it's the aura of Vita that's doing. Fuck me. Sell your comic. Everybody's going to think I'm taking a shot at somebody in particular. I am not. I'm not. I'm probably on good terms with the name you're thinking about right now. But in all seriousness, you know what? Why are we pretending on this? I'm on fine terms with Zach. Fine terms, no issues. I know that breaks kayfabe all over the place, but it's fine. There are no issues. Okay, so let people be people. Okay, we'll work it out between us. It's fine. I'm not a guy who has a lot of enemies. So if you're looking to see who my big enemies. You're barking up the wrong tree. Go find somebody who likes a lot of enemies. I don't like them. I typically try not. It's an easier life if you don't have a lot of enemies. I don't have them. I try and just figure out a place where I can align with someone else. or where there's some level of agreement, we go with that. It's cool. It's all fine. And by the way, here's this crazy fucking idea. It's you know what can happen is people can have different opinions and not hate the shit out of each other. It's possible. It's possible for people to see the world in different ways and be fine. That's called adulthood. It's called being a grown-up, you dumbass. That's what it's called. You could do it fine. The only people who are all obsessed with that are weird little they're adolescent children who are pretending to be grown men. That's not how the world works. My point is, I got far astray. Okay? You know, the secret word is Simon. Anyway, I think that in all seriousness, just make your comic. Whether you're working for the big two or an indie company or your own thing or crowdfunding, it's always a big red herring to me if your comic can't sell on its own. You know, right now, Dan Slott is like losing his shit all over Twitter about the fact that Elon's going to take away his check mark. And Dan Slott's like, if you take away my check mark, I personally have delivered thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of tweets of free content to your platform that you have been able to monetize and generate an audience. But if you make me pay for my blue check mark, well then, sir, I shall depart and not give you that free content. It's like, fuck off. Seriously, nobody is... Are you seriously believe you are part of Twitter's valuation? And guess what? You have regularly posted how much Elon Musk is a prick. So don't say you hate the guy, you think he's awful, he's destroying democracy, on and on and on it goes. And then go, but you should beg me to stay on your platform, you gentlemen who I have insulted and said have a tiny penis. You who are an awful, awful, evil man who is a communist Russian Putin agent. You who I hate and despise, you should beg me to stay on your platform, or I shall tweet various things about how I am the true mastermind behind She-Hulk and why farts smell fun. Like, Jesus Christ, man, just leave. Just leave. Go get the Facebook guy to give you some cash. He won't do it because nobody gives a shit about you. Like, stop making it so dramatic. Pay for the blue check mark. Don't play for the don't pay. Like, goddamn, who cares? Nobody cares. Nobody cares at all. By the way, what a crazy, dumbass world. Like, I have a Twitter account, and I shall post weird things, and I shall run a blockchain that is not a blockchain like the kind that gives you money, but the blockchain that gets rid of a bunch of people who I am uncomfortable around, and I shall block big parts of the internet. And then, when you tell me I must pay $7 a month for my blue check mark that I previously had for free, why, I shall take my business elsewhere, good sir. Ugh. Sell your comic. You know, if you're an amazing generator of content, then maybe your Spider-Man book shouldn't suck so much and people should actually care for it. But nobody does, because fuck off. All this stuff is ridiculous. It is a absolute red herring. I don't care if you're writing, crowd-funded original idea number 15 or you're writing Spider-Man. If the majority of your tweets are about crazy, attacking other creators and little backstabbing bullshit here or there, then here's the clue. Nobody gives a shit about what you actually do for a living. You know what? I know this is going to be super hard, but in the year 2030, when you've died of diabetes and probably, having a heart attack in the shower, and I'm not naming anyone in particular, but look, there's lots of candidates there. Once you hit that moment, okay, nobody's going to give a shit about the fact that one time you tweeted about how Renfamous is a bitch or, Comicsgate is a hate group. Nobody's going to give a fuck about any of that. Instead, they're going to care about what kind of comic you wrote. And it turns out if you didn't write a good comic, and it turns out that your legacy is shitting all over everybody on Twitter, well, bad news. The odds of Twitter even surviving till 2030 are low. So, I mean, I don't know. Put it this way. I'm sure there's plenty of epic burns somewhere in the archive of MySpace. Sure, I'm sure you totally owned that one guy back in 2006 when you're on MySpace and you talked about how that guy, he smelled like pea asparagus. That was a pretty sick burn, bro. You really got that guy. It's pretty awesome. Unfortunately, they did not print off all your MySpace, messages. They print off your status and then print a book and then put it into the Hall of Archives. Unfortunately, that did not happen. You basically farted into the wind, and that was 15 years ago, and nobody gives a shit anymore. Congratulations. Anyway, what disappoints me most about comics? Yeah, everybody fucks with each other. And spends a lot more time doing that sometimes than writing comic books. Well, this video is off the rails, but there you go. I'll probably delete this, but yeah, you never know. Maybe I'll forget, and it will go out. And secret word assignment. Thanks for listening.
Fancy!